for the digital panorama. So I'm going to start by I have a lot of different images in here. I think the way you want to get started is to take some landscape pictures or images that you can use to create your background. So I got some landscape stuff, and then I also took some pictures, just goofy pictures of myself that I'm going to put into the landscape. And so I'll show you a little bit of the cutting and pasting. I'll show you how I create the panorama, and then show you some blurring tools. So I'm going to open this image here, and I've already opened several of the images that I'm going to use. So this is the image that I'm going to use to create my panorama. I can use I can flip things around, and I can use the layer copy tool to make a panoramic image from this one file. So you don't need to have a panoramic image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File and New and create a new canvas. And remember, I want you to have a 1:4 height to width ratio. So that means that if this is 4 inches high, then the width needs to be 4 times that, at least 4 times that, so about 16. So 4 by 16 would be a good way to go. I want my resolution 300. And then I'm going to create my canvas, and now I have a panorama. So I can go back here to this image, and remember Command A, Command C, and then Command V to paste that in. It pasted in very large. So remember how to use Command T to transform and size your image so that it fits into your space. Again, this project is going to use all of the different tools that we've used so far. I kind of made that a little squish, so I'm going to redo this. I made a mistake, so I'm just going to do that again. All right, and once that fits into my space there, what I'm going to do is make a new layer via copy. So I can do that either layer, new, and then layer via copy here. And see how that made another layer. Now you don't see it right away because it's right on top of the other one. I can also do Command J, which I just did on the keyboard to create a copy. So now you see I've got 3 layers. Now I just need to take my move tool, and I can just move these things out, and that's creating, it's a repetitive image, but that's okay. If you wanted to, you could overlap these a little bit, so maybe they're not quite as repetitive. Now that I've got those all on one layer, I can group them together. Command E is going to group those together. Now if I Command J and copy that layer, now I've got all of that I can move to make my panorama. Now let's say that looks a little repetitive, or I want to try doing something that's more symmetrical. You can go to Edit and Transform and Flip Horizontal, and that will flip that one layer horizontally, and now you can see how that is, I can move that around. I might do one more layer. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a section, because I don't want this to look too repetitive. I'm going to create a section like that, and I'm going to hit Command J, and that creates a layer out of just that one selection. So now I can move that around. Oops, I have to find it first. And fill in that extra space. I'm going to do that again on this level, on this layer here. A lot of this really is just playing around with stuff and seeing what you can make happen. Okay, so I kind of like how that looks. It's a little bit, it's a little less symmetrical and as obvious, I guess, that I copied it. You could also do, I don't have to have that be so small. I can kind of move these things around using my transform tool, maybe make them a little larger. You know, again, just kind of play around with things. Okay, so the next step, once you have the panorama, is that you want to, I'm going to move this a little bit, sorry. That you want to now populate this world that I've created with some stuff. So I got a picture of myself, and I've already done most of the selecting. One of the things I'm really looking for here is how you're working with the selection tools that we'd use for the hand-colored photograph, where you had to select areas and then hand-color those. So I did most of the selecting already, but I just want to remind you that you can use this regular lasso tool. Hit Shift, and I'm holding Shift with my left pinky, and then I'm clicking the trackpad with my left pointer finger and using my right hand to do the drawing. And that is a kind of a nice trick for doing more accurate drawing. So here I want to subtract. I'm going to hit Option. Shift is add, Option is subtract. And same thing, I'm just going to hold the trackpad with my left hand, and I'm drawing with my right. And again, I can just be more accurate that way. Loop back around and circle what I want to delete, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that I've got that selected, I'm going to copy and paste. So I've got the selection, Command C is copy, and I'm going to go back to my panorama and paste myself in there. Okay, so I also am going to put this, I like this baboon that I took a picture of at the Field Museum in Chicago. So I've got the selection already made. I'm going to hit Command C to copy, and I'm going to paste the baboon in there as well. And you can see that those are on different layers. Now, I'm getting a lot of different layers here already, so I'm going to rename this layer 4. I'm going to rename that baboon so that I know when I start to get a ton of different layers, which layer is which. So this one I'm standing more straight, I'll call it that. I'm going to, now I have got these panoramas, the background, so I'm going to flatten all those, Command E, select all the layers, and Command E. All right, so now I've got some things in here, and I can start to move things around. So again, just Command T, moving this guy around. Where am I going to put this baboon? I'll put him somewhere down here, I guess. Okay, now let's zoom in on some things, because I want to show you some new tools and some little things that you can play around with. First, I'm going to move this guy because I'm too big in there. Okay, I'm going to put myself in there somewhere. All right, so I'm going to do a couple things. One, I'm going to use the blending tool. If I zoom in here, I'm just hitting Command plus and zooming in. You can see that a lot of the seams from my background have this hard line there. So there's a couple different things you can do. I think the best thing is they're all going to be under this blur, this little band-aid, the healing brush tool. So the healing brush, it'll give you this little circle, looks like a paintbrush. If you hit Option, it'll give you a target there, and you can select an area that you want to copy. So if I hit Option and click there, now it's going to, whoops, I had to make sure I was on the wrong layer. Make sure you're on the right layer. Let me try that again. Option, click. And so now see how it's going to take the area that I clicked, and it's going to sample that area. You can see the little plus following my paintbrush, and I'm essentially painting in whatever that Option tool is selecting. So I'm going to try this again because I'm starting to get into some, you might kind of do it every once in a while, and then you'll pick up different texture or different background that you'll want that matches a little better. So I'm just hitting Option and clicking, and you can see the plus following, you know, it's just copying whatever that is near that plus. All right, so that's one way that you can kind of blur that line. Now, if you looked really close, you know, somebody who was looking really close could figure that out. But if we zoom back out, it's it's less noticeable than just a straight line there. So I'm looking for, are you using these tools? Let me show you another one that you can use. That is the healing tool. And there, again, it's all over here under this Band-Aid healing brush. Another one that I like is the patch tool. So with the patch tool, again, make sure you're on the right layer. Let's deal with this line right here. With the patch tool, what I can do is make a selection. So this also utilizes your selecting skills. And I'm just going to select the line here. This also works really well for skin tones, blemishes, things like that. If you have a hot spot like a highlight or something that you want to cover with a color that's nearby, you can do that with this. So it has a lot of really, really great applications. All right, so now let's zoom in here so you can kind of see this a little better. Wherever I selected, when I move this selection, oh, wrong layer again. When I move this selection, you can see it's cloning, basically, it's cloning that, wherever I move the selection, and would move that into the new space. Okay, so that looks like that. When I deselect, Command D, you can see the line. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's better. And so then I could use maybe a combination of the patch tool and then my healing brush to get rid of that even. I think that, and the more you click on this healing brush, the more accurate it'll look. Oop, I kind of grabbed a tree there. I don't want that. So it's basically like, it's almost like an eyedropper tool, this healing brush, where you can option and select, but it's not just an eyedropper. The eyedropper tool will select a color. This actually selects, whatever, like a group of pixels to emulate like a texture or something like that. All right, so you're using those things to spot tone and blur these images together to make it look more realistic. All right, I would do that on all of these different seams to try to blend all of that together. All right, let's try one more thing. What if I want to make it look like I'm behind this tree? So here's where you can do a little creative problem solving. What I want to do is make it look like I'm behind that tree. So I'm going to turn that layer off so that I can see the tree a little better. And I'm going to select the tree just using the magnetic lasso. It's a little tricky because there's all kinds of stuff back there, lots of detail in this image, so this is going to be a little, in the interest of time, I'm not going to make you watch me select every little nook and cranny of this tree. All right, but I am going to kind of clean up this area here, so it'll give me a chance to do regular lasso, and then again I'm going to hit Option so that I can subtract, click, and I'm just going to draw along this line here and clean up my selection a little bit so it's not too sloppy. Now if I was doing this for the project, if I was you, I would spend a lot more time, make sure that's really nice and clean, do the best work that you can. Okay, so now that I have the tree selected, I'm going to make just that layer or just that selection into a separate layer. So I'm going to hit Command J, and now that is another layer. See, if I turn this off, I just have that tree there. And what I can do is I can just move that tree now on top of where I'm standing. And now it looks like I'm behind the tree. Actually, it looks like that branch is going through my face. So I might go back and either adjust, somehow adjust this a little bit. Maybe make myself stand right there. I can fix it that way. Okay, so now it looks like that tree is in front of me just by playing with layers, creating new layers, and making sure and like ordering the layers. So moving the layers up and down in front of or behind each other can give you that effect. All right. If I turn it off, on and off, you can see how that works. Okay. So just, that's kind of the basics. I think if you play with this stuff a lot, you can really do a lot of different things with this, and create a panorama that feels believable. I mean, obviously it's going to be a fantasy, sci-fi kind of imaginary world, but through blending and really good selecting, you can make this world feel like it works together. Unlike the composite, where you were doing the composite where there was obviously disjointedness. This one, I want you to really try to blend it together. Okay, so that's the blur tool, how to make a panorama, how to use layers and copying to put things behind, make it look like you're behind something. And feel free to, load any other things that you want to do in there. There should be at least 10 layers that you have in here. Okay, so that's all I've got today, and